Good afternoon, Mr. Ronnie and my fellow classmates. Our research topic is security issues in lelang.com.my. The objectives of our topic will be: first, to study how Lelang operates within the C2C and B2C business environment. Second, to identify the security issues that arise from the use of Lelang. Third, to look into the potential of future security issues or threats that could arise on Lelang. And lastly, to provide the recommendations to the security issues. In general, Lelang is an online auction site that provides online shopping mechanism to online shoppers. Currently, Lelang is moving from C2C to B2C business model as it was expanding its business plan and focus into more areas of e-commerce. Doing business through Lelang could bring unlimited business opportunities like low startup costs and greater business relationships. This is the front page of the Lelang website. On the left of the website, Lelang has categorized each kind of their products according to the features and functions in order to ease their users to find what they are looking for. For members, in order to pay their top-up fees to Lelang, they could choose the following payment method: online credit card, either Visa or Master, interbank bank zero from all banks, open bill payment through Maybank or RCB Bank, or they can even pay through cash. A general buyer has the following options to pay to the seller. Buyer could pay to the seller via bank transfer with the seller's bank account provided. Buyer and seller meet up at seller's shop. Buyer start a stash trade and pay to Lelang. Lelang instructs the seller to ship the goods. Once the buyer receives the item, money will be released to the seller. Next, I will pass our presentation to my partner Ethan. Thank you.
Online auctions. Online auctions are one of the most popular and successful new e-commerce business models. Those auctions that are held on the internet are called online auctions. Online auctions take advantage of the technologies to overcome the limitations of traditional auctions, such as limited participants, high auction fees, and high operation costs. Online auctions are very similar to the traditional auctions in respect to auctions rules. The difference between online auctions and traditional auctions is that online auctions end after a given period of time. Bidders can only submit bids between the auction's start and end times. Online auction site. Online auction site is a place where buyers and sellers are allowed to exchange any items among each other over the internet despite geographical and time differences. The most celebrated and successful online auction site is eBay.com. eBay has been recognized as the world's largest online marketplace and has experienced a rapid growth in customers, numbers of items sold, and gross merchandise sales since its incorporation in 1996. Online buyers and sellers, or the traders, are mainly anonymous to each other and can bid in any manner they want. Therefore, participants might behave or act fraudulently on the online auctions in an attempt to gain their own benefits at the expense of other participants. Next is online auction fraud. Internet auction fraud is a broad category of crimes that are encouraged by the participants of online auctions. As a result, online auctions offer opportunities for criminals to profit by deceiving unsuspecting victims. There are many types of security issues such as privacy issue and internet auctions fraud issues arising from the use of e-commerce sites to trade between C2C and B2C. However, in our research assignment, we are more concentrating on internet auction fraud issue occurring in online shopping and online auction sites. There are many types of online auction fraud. For example, shilling, bid shielding, misrepresentation, free stacking, failure to ship, failure to pay, reproductions or counterfeit, triangulations or fencing, buy and switch, loss or damage claims, and shell auction. Shelling. Shelling is when sellers confederate bids on sellers' auction to drive up the price of an item. Bid shielding. Two bidders collude on an auction. One bidder makes a low bid, while the second makes an inflated bid that is withdrawn just before the auction ends. Shillings and bid shielding will be explained further in detail in the next few slides. Next is misrepresentation. It is typically a seller intentionally describes an item incorrectly, and the goods received by the buyer are different from the seller's descriptions. Fee stacking. Seller adds hidden costs such as handling charges to the item after the auction ends. Failure to ship is when seller fails to ship or never send the purchased item to the buyer. Failure to pay is when buyer fail to pay or never send payments to the sellers for the item purchased. For the reproductions of counterfeit, it is sellers advertise counterfeit goods as the real thing. Triangulations or fencing is when sellers sell stolen goods. Buy and switch. Buyer substitute delivered item with an inferior one for a fraudulent refund. For the last two, loss or damage claims and shell auction. Loss or damage claims is where buyer wants refund and claiming that the item was damaged and dispose of it. The last one, shell auction. Seller sets up auction solely to obtain names and credit card numbers. Bid shielding. Bid shielding is where a number of bidders collude on an auction. One bidder enters a low bid for the amount they are willing to pay for an item, while the second bidder immediately makes an excessively high bid on the same item in an attempt to deter other regular bidders from continuing to bid. The second bid, which is the second colluding bidder, is then withdrawn very soon before the auction ends, and thus resulting the first bid, that is the next highest bid, becomes the winning bid. As the bid is withdrawn near the end of the auctions, other regular bidders do not have time to respond all over again. Next is shield bidding. Shield bidding is also known as shilling. It is a technique or the act of introducing the fake bids into an auction on the seller's behalf to illegally raise the price of an item. The legitimate bidders must outbid the shield price in order to win the item. Therefore, this practice forced legitimate bidders to pay significantly more for the item. Bid snipping. Bid snipping is another undesirable type of bidding behavior. A bidder who engaged in snipping strategy is referred to as snipper. A snipper will only bid until the last few seconds before the auction ends in an attempt to deny other bidders time and opportunity to respond to the snipper bid. This essentially prevents the snipper from being outbid, and thus resulting snipper wins the auction. The last one is bid siphoning. Bid siphoning refers to a situation where an outsider contacts bidders and offers to sell them an identical item that they are currently bidding on at a lower price. This practice intends to draw bidders away from the legitimate seller's auction and then tricking bidders into sending money without delivering the item to them. The bidders who do business with outsiders will lose their protections offered by the auction and render themselves to fraud of misrepresented or non-existent item.
This chart is the result of the survey that we have conducted at Leilong. As you all can see, one of the highest percentage of fraud that happened in Leilong is the seller didn't send the goods after the buyer has